We all like to think of ourselves as independent, logical thinkers. We weigh our options, analyze the facts, and make sound decisions. Yet we routinely find ourselves buying things we don't need, staying in unhappy relationships, or agreeing to favors we actively want to avoid. To survive infinite data, our brains developed mental shortcuts, heuristics. Processing every decision burns massive energy, so we built automatic pathways bypassing deep analytical processing. Operating beneath awareness, these background routines make us seek harmony, avoid pain, and maintain consistency before we even reason. Because these shortcuts are universal and trigger reliably across the entire human species, they create a predictable map for external influence. By targeting the trigger rather than the person, marketers, politicians, and manipulative individuals can bypass your logical defenses. Dark psychology functions as a systematic exploit of these biological glitches in the human code. For early humans navigating a harsh environment, survival required staying with the pack. Every movement was synchronized. If the group ran, you ran. Isolation from the group was a death sentence, making social harmony a biological necessity. Modern manipulators trigger this ancient fear of exclusion through social proof exploitation. By making you feel that rejecting their idea means standing against the crowd, they activate the primal panic of being left behind. This is often achieved through the false consensus effect. A single source can manufacture the illusion that an opinion or behavior is the majority rule. They project a level of agreement that makes their desired outcome feel like the only socially safe choice. When this consensus is manufactured, the cost of dissent feels overwhelming. The brain perceives standing alone as a threat to safety, creating a powerful internal drive to align your thoughts with the perceived group. Under this pressure, the brain's evolutionary need to belong takes priority over its capacity for logical analysis. The brain is also obsessed with internal efficiency. Processing conflicting information, like an action that contradicts a belief, burns heavy mental calories. To save energy, the brain naturally resists these contradictions. The foot in the door technique exploits this by securing a tiny, harmless agreement. By getting you to sign a petition or accept a small gift, the manipulator subtly shifts your self-identity. You now unconsciously view yourself as a supporter of their cause. When they later make a massive, unreasonable demand, your brain experiences cognitive dissonance, a painful mental friction. To resolve this discomfort, the brain snaps your actions into alignment with your new identity. You comply with the large request just to stop the psychological noise. Similar efficiency gaps appear in the illusory truth effect. If a claim is repeated frequently enough, it bypasses your fact-checking systems entirely. Verifying facts requires effort. Hearing a claim over and over makes it feel familiar, and the brain automatically mistakes that familiarity for truth to avoid the mental load of verification. You become vulnerable the moment the mental cost of critical thinking feels heavier than the comfort of consistency. The most aggressive exploits target our biological response to danger. During acute stress, neural activity drains from the prefrontal cortex, the logic center, while the limbic system, our primal survival center, takes over. This shift is the engine behind the fear then relief trick. Scammers and high-pressure salespeople induce artificial panic, like the threat of an audit or a legal penalty, to disrupt the logical processing needed for rational choice. By suddenly removing the threat and offering a solution, the manipulator renders you highly suggestible. In that rush of relief, you are likely to comply with their demands, simply because your brain is too exhausted to resist. This manipulation of brain chemistry also drives intermittent reinforcement. Our brains are hardwired to chase unpredictable rewards. When validation or approval is given randomly rather than consistently, it hijacks the dopamine system, creating an addiction to uncertainty. Toxic partners and high control groups weaponize the slot machine mechanic, alternating between affection and withdrawal. The victim becomes hooked on the unpredictable return of love, just like a gambler waiting for a payout. By targeting these survival systems, a manipulator locks the individual into a purely reactive state. We cannot rewrite millions of years of human evolution. The brain will always naturally seek group validation, internal consistency, and immediate safety. But manipulators rely on speed and emotional discomfort to bypass your logic. They need you to react before your prefrontal cortex can process the threat. This makes the simple act of pausing your most effective defense. The moment you feel an unexplainable sense of urgency, a sudden wave of guilt, or an artificial spike of fear, step back. Do not make a decision. Use that time to identify exactly which biological shortcut is being triggered. Conscious awareness functions as the ultimate firewall for the human mind. Recognizing the glitch strips the manipulator of their weapon.